This is National Native News. I'm Antonia Gonzalez. The U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service Friday filed notice to appeal a federal judge's decision that restored endangered species protections for Yellowstone area grizzly bears. Nick Mott reports on the government's challenge to a decision that blocked the first hunts of the animal in decades.
Fish and Wildlife removed federal protections for grizzlies in the summer of 2017, and numerous tribal and conservation groups quickly sued, citing concerns over genetic health of the animal, the effect of delisting on other populations of bears, lack of tribal consultation, and other issues. In September, District Judge Dana Christensen sided with the plaintiffs and halted delisting.
It was one of the most historic days, I believe, for the fight that we've been in.
That's David Bearshield, chairman of the Gull Coalition, an intertribal group focused on protecting grizzlies. More than 200 U.S. and Canadian tribes have signed a treaty calling for Endangered Species Act protection for the grizzly due to cultural concerns about the animal.
I'm hoping that the Department of Interior, the Fish and Wildlife Service, will understand that whenever they decide to do something, that they ensure that the tribes are sitting at the table.
Fish and Wildlife's notice to appeal doesn't actually take the case to the U.S. Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals, but it does buy the government time to decide whether to formally challenge the ruling. The states of Wyoming and Idaho, along with 4 pro-hunting groups, have also filed appeals. Fish and Wildlife directed questions to the Justice Department, which declined to comment. It's the second time the agency has tried to delist Yellowstone area bears, only to be thwarted by the courts. For National Native News, I'm Nick Mott.
The Navajo Nation could lose $170 million in the coming years after it invested in a coal-fired power plant. That's according to an energy research group that examined the long-term economics of the deal. Arizona Public Radio's Ryan Heinches reports.
The study by the Institute for Energy Economics and Financial Analysis cites declining energy production at the aging Four Corners plant. Low long-term natural gas prices and the growth of renewable power sources could also make the generating station less profitable. The report predicts losses for the tribe of more than $20 million a year between 2020 and 2027. The Navajo Transitional Energy Company acquired a small stake in the plant last summer. It calls the study flawed and says there's strong demand for the power produced at Four Corners. It comes as the tribe considers purchasing the Navajo Generating Station near Page, which is set to close in December 2019. Its current owners voted to shutter the plant as coal-produced energy has become more expensive. I'm Ryan Heinches in Flagstaff.
Acoma Pueblo officials in New Mexico are celebrating the repatriation of dozens of cultural items retrieved from various outlets across the country. Acoma Governor Kurt Riley.
We had what we call a general meeting of all the, as many community members as we could, where we announced it. And everybody's reaction was very, very joyful and positive. So it's a great occasion today to have some of our items that we've been working very hard to repatriate come home.
The return of the items come after a years-long effort by the tribe, the U.S. Attorney's Office, and the Bureau of Indian Affairs to locate and recover them from galleries, antique shops, and museums. Riley says the continued outreach is helping curb the sale of imported and cultural items that have been taken illegally, but he says it's a slow process. I'm Antonia Gonzalez.
National Native News is produced at the Annenberg National Native Voice Studios by Kawanak Broadcast Corporation. Funding is by Odawi Law Group, provider of Indian law solutions, and by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, with support from the Public Radio Satellite System.
Support by BNSF Railway Company. BNSF honors the commitment of Armed Forces members and is a top employer for U.S. military veterans, hiring over 9,000 veterans since 2005. More at jobs.bnsf.com.
Support for journalism that raises the awareness of child well-being to citizens and to policymakers provided by the Annie E. Casey Foundation, building a brighter future for children, families, and communities. Information at aecf.org.
Native Voice One, the Native American Radio Network.